Hello, welcome to Limbo. It's been a little bit. I want to start by painting you a picture. You are a dirty fanfiction writer who really likes One Piece for some reason. One day, when you get in a mood, you happen to notice out of the corner of your eye a board game you haven't played in years. Candyland. You take the board out of the box, you are rock hard. You just have to write smut about this. I literally cannot think of any other way the creation of this abomination went, because there sure as hell isn't a Candyland fandom, right? Bullshit, I'll be damned. Anyway, let me ruin your childhood and introduce you to Candyland smut. Specifically, we are going to be looking at one fic in particular called Candyland Can. Now, what layers of hell does this belong in? Just when you think you've seen everything, something just has to come along and show you horrors beyond your comprehension. Well, I should say someone. You know who you are. They sent me a link to AO3 asking me to make a video, and by God, it was gold. If gold was a crime against humanity. If you don't know what Candyland is, here's what the board looks like. See those characters around the board? We'll meet them later. You may not recognize this board, and that's because it's the original 1984 version of the game on which this fanfiction is based off of. I assume. It doesn't outright say, but this is the only version that the characters match the descriptions in the story. If you're my age, you probably know the 2002 version of this game with this board. Candyland was my childhood game. I remember laying on the carpet with my family, drawing cards, and moving our characters over the board for countless hours. This made reading this all the more horrible because this truly tainted those memories. In regards to the story itself, I absolutely hate the way that it's written format-wise. It doesn't have paragraphs, and every single sentence is a new line. I mean, look at this. This is messed up. The format is much more what you'd expect from a poem. Just horrible. And the dialogue is about as good as a Hallmark movie, if not worse. It's clear that it was only written for the sex scenes. Getting into the meat and gravy of the story, the premise is that every Candyland kid on their 18th birthday has to go to Candy Castle to become a Candyland man. At the beginning of Candyland Road, we meet our protagonist, a newly turned 18-year-old who must make this journey. Billy. Yes! Finally! A fanfiction where I, as a girl, am not the main character. Anyways, this is already a horrible violation of actual Candyland lore. In reality, the true story is that the evil Lord Licorice has hidden... To get to Candy Castle, Billy first has to go through the gingerbread plum trees. Billy, seeing all of these delicious, ripe, scrumptious plums, just has to pluck one and eat it. I mean, can you blame him? After 2 bites, he whips out his shit and starts fucking the plum. Now you can blame him. As he's nutting in this plum, Plumpy, this little green shit, sees him and scolds him, rightfully, for fucking a plum. Billy just straight up does not see what's wrong with what he was doing, and he says, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know anyone was here." Plumpy scolds him and responds, "You shouldn't do such things anywhere," which is just so right. I mean, what the fuck? After a short argument where Plumpy was threatening to tell Mama Gingertree of Billy's horrendous actions and likely get him in a lot of trouble, he relents and lets Billy off with a warning. As Billy is walking away, that little green Lorax knockoff shit picks up the cum plum and eats it. Now you know what you're in for, but it gets so much worse. Once Billy got past that forest, he's in another forest, the Peppermint Forest. There he meets Mr. Mint, and literally the first thing he says to Billy is, "You smell like semen." Wow. Could you imagine just saying that to a random dude you just met? Insane. Mr. Mint's solution to Billy's smell is have Billy suck his cock like a candy cane because he exudes minty freshness. That's right, Mr. Mint's cum is the equivalent of toothpaste. Fucking hell. By the way, Billy is way too eager for somebody who we are supposed to believe has never had sex to schlorp this guy. And after he makes Mr. Mint nut and drinks his peppermint semen, Mr. Mint kisses Billy on the mouth and sends him on his way. But it gets so much worse. Now Billy is off to the Gumdrop Mountains. While traversing this treacherous landscape, Billy comes across Jolly. And immediately, without any inclination that Jolly feels any way towards Billy, Billy decided that this little shit is his friend. As Jolly is guiding Billy through the Gumdrop Mountains, Billy sees a silly, goofy mountain that looks like a butt. And Jolly, having no sense of humor, showing that his name means fuck all, says, "You like butts?" and then shows Billy his ass. Now, Jolly doesn't have any normal ass. Come on. He's an alien. He just has a hole. No shit, no crack, just a hole. And Billy fucks it. Jolly doesn't even get any excessive pleasure for this. In fact, he's very professional about it, asking whether Billy wants to come inside or outside of his hole. After Billy nuts, he tells Jolly, "I loved your anus." That is an actual quote from the book. Which, like, what the fuck, Billy? See what I mean about the dialogue? Also, I just gotta say, this thing is about the least fuckable thing to ever exist, straight up. There is not a single person who has ever, other than this deranged author, looked at that and thought, I want to fuck that. But things are looking up for Billy because after that, he meets the most fuckable character in Candyland, Lord Licorice. I mean, look at him. You cannot tell me this man is not hot. The author absolutely hits the nail on the head with this interaction too, because Lord Licorice is into BDSM. I mean, his design absolutely screams this. He's even wearing leather. Come on. However, Billy is not down with this. Lord Licorice non-consensually flogs Billy as he screams out in pain and jerks him off to finish. Now, admittedly, Lord Licorice did give Billy a safe word, which he only used after it went all down, but Billy was tied down before any of this. Once Billy leaves, he realizes they actually had fun. Whatever, Billy's a fucking freak, I don't know. When I was reading this for the first time, I was looking at the board as I read it, and this is the one that I was so scared for. Because the only character on this board for this space is a grandma. I was so scared that it was going to be some age play shit or something, since this author is creative, let's say. But thank God, Billy actually fucks a boy his age named Peanut. Now, Peanut is not a canon character in the Candyland universe, but the story claims that he is Grandma Nut's grandchild, and he just lives with her, I guess. This dude's name, though. This fucking name, dog. It cannot get more on the nose than this, because Peanut nuts at P. That's right, he has a piss kink. I actually fucking can't. Really. I mean, I can't even describe what happens because it's too not safe for work by even my standards, and I'd be nuked off YouTube if I haven't been the moment this video comes out already. I will say though, it is unrealistic for Billy to be able to refill his bladder in only seconds. Oh, and as a nice little kick in the balls for this whole thing, this entire chapter is a shower scene. I am 3 for 3 right now on fanfics I've made a video of with shower scenes. And I know, I've said it in my other 2 fic reviews, but you do not need a shower scene. It is stupid and is a dog shit way of building sexual tension. It's just not needed. Up next on Billy's journey is the Lollipop Woods. Here, Billy meets Princess Lolly, who, for some reason, Billy already knows? We're supposed to believe that this is an arduous journey for people to go on once in their lifetime, and yet he knows her? Actually, fuck it, whatever. This story is weird. This is way more believable than refilling your bladder in seconds. I don't give a shit, okay? This is probably the most descriptive chapter, which isn't saying much to be honest, because this story is about as descriptive as a creepypasta written by a 10-year-old. For example of the descriptiveness, Princess Lolly's penis is described as 2 inches long and quite thick. It also apparently tastes like strawberry and her cum tastes like blueberry, which I gotta say is a terrible flavor combination. I don't know how Billy enjoyed that. But after Billy sucked her lollipop, they then fuck in the longest scene in the entire story so far. And immediately after, Lolly just fucks off into the woods, leaving Billy alone. The next stop for Billy is the Ice Cream Sea. In order to cross, Billy has to take a boat across the sea with Queen Frostine. This is by far the most vanilla interaction in this entire story. I mean, it's implied that she's a MILF, but that's like as normal as it gets. They don't technically have sex, but what happens is things that at some point happen in any suburban home. It's also implied that Queen Frostine is the only person on the boat, which begs the question, how is the boat driving itself? Questions like these keep me up at night. The Molasses Swamp, home to Gloppy. I fucking hated this thing as a child. Not this version, but this one specifically. I wanted this thing to not just die, but to suffer. Sometimes when I was mad, little 7-year-old me would get out the Candyland board and just punch the corner of the board until my hands hurt. I don't know why, but it satisfied me to imagine punching its smug smile off its face. It's really no wonder that I spent a year in anger management therapy in 1st grade. Back to the story. You will never, ever guess what kink is shown off here. Place your bets now. If you guessed vor, you're correct. Gloppy vores Billy, shits him out, and then sucks his whole body off. And after that, Gloppy, a being made out of pure molasses, sticks his molasses cock in Billy and molasses comes. You know what that reminds me of? Oh no. Oh no. Gloppy has a cock. I hate this story so much. The author is going to have a goddamn penthouse in hell. As a side note, I somehow hate Gloppy less now, since now they just feel like the victim of this cruel author. Finally, the last chapter. Thank the Lord we're almost done. Billy, finished with his journey, meets King Candy. And it turns out that in order to become a Candyland man, he must be deflowered by the king, which, if you don't know, is just a weird way of saying that the king has to take his virginity, which raises a bunch of questions I really don't want to get into about why this is a thing and Candyland politics in general. Billy claims that he's a virgin already, but he is absolutely not. He technically didn't screw 5 of the 8 characters directly, and you can make the claim that because Jolly is an alien without proper genitalia, it doesn't count, but he definitely fucked Princess Lolly, and he was fucked by Gloppy. Like, there's genuinely no other way that you can perceive it. When Billy meets the king, though, the king says that his heart is pure, suggesting that he still is a virgin. I don't know, whatever. When King Candy fucks Billy, he should have been tipped off that he wasn't a virgin by how experienced Billy seems, but they do it, and Billy leaves with a sense of power and purpose, and blah, 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 fuck my life, the end. To the person who recommended that I read this, I can't even be mad, but I am never going to get the hours of my life taken to make this video back. I will take your suggestions again. This was peak depravity, thank you. I believe that this fic showcases some of the absolute worst in humanity, even showing off several horrible, horrible kinks that somehow actually exist. I'd like to believe that the author doesn't have these kinks and just put them in for the bit, but something about the way the story was written tells me that it's unfortunately unironic. Also, I don't know if this is actually normal and I'm just insane and used to Midwest goodbyes, but whenever Billy leaves after meeting someone, it's always just 1 or 2 words and he's gone. It just struck me as weird. Now, the reason why that is could just be that the author is literally insane and publishes several 1,000-word fics on a bi-weekly or less basis. They probably don't have any time to quality check these before another one is in the works. Like, don't you have a job? I really try to end these videos with a positive note that I liked about the story, so I'm not just straight up bullying and I can pass this off as constructive criticism, but I really can't. Billy has no character development other than getting good at taking it in the ass. The writing style sucked to read, the dialogue left much to be desired, and the story as a whole was just one interaction from being porn without plot. I really, genuinely have nothing. I'm so sorry. My final review is as follows. Content, 1 out of 10. Readability, 2 out of 10. Characters, 0 out of 10. Total, 3 out of 30. Well, that's all I've got. If YouTube finally decide to cut me a break, this fic will be linked in the description. Otherwise, you know the name, you sickos. Adios.